At the beginning of the 20th century, the United States was not the most powerful nation in the world. European empires like Britain, France, and Germany dominated global politics. America was growing economically, but it was still focused mostly on its own development. No one could imagine that within a few decades, this nation would become the most powerful country on Earth. When World War I began in 1914, the United States decided to stay neutral. President Woodrow Wilson did not want to enter a European conflict. However, America continued trading with the Allied powers, supplying them with weapons, food, and money. While Europe was being destroyed by war, American industries were expanding rapidly. In 1917, after German attacks on American ships, the United States entered the war. When the war ended in 1918, Europe was economically exhausted, but America had grown stronger. For the first time, many countries owed money to the United States. A major global power shift had begun. The 1920s brought economic growth and cultural change. American factories produced cars, radios, and consumer goods at massive levels. Cities expanded, and the stock market boomed. The United States became the world's largest industrial economy. But this growth was not stable. In 1929, the stock market crashed, triggering the Great Depression. Banks failed, businesses collapsed, and millions of Americans lost their jobs. It was one of the darkest periods in American history. President Franklin D. Roosevelt responded with programs known as the New Deal. These reforms created jobs, rebuilt infrastructure, and restored confidence in the economy. Slowly, the nation began to recover. But just as America was rebuilding, another global conflict was rising. World War II began in 1939. At first, the United States again tried to remain neutral. But everything changed on December 7, 1941, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. The United States officially entered the war. American factories quickly transformed into powerful production centers. Weapons, ships, tanks, and airplanes were produced in enormous numbers. Millions of soldiers were sent overseas. The United States became known as the arsenal of democracy. By the end of World War II in 1945, Europe and much of Asia were devastated. Cities were destroyed, and economies were broken. The United States, however, had not suffered damage on its own mainland. Its industrial power was unmatched. Then came a historic and controversial decision. The United States used atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The war ended shortly after. America was now the only country in the world with nuclear weapons. This marked the beginning of the atomic age. After the war, the United States helped rebuild Western Europe through financial assistance known as the Marshall Plan. This strengthened American influence around the world. At the same time, a new rivalry was forming with the Soviet Union. The world was divided into two powerful blocs, one led by the United States promoting capitalism and democracy, and the other led by the Soviet Union promoting communism. This tension became known as the Cold War. It was not a direct, large-scale war between the two superpowers, but it involved proxy wars, political conflicts, and an intense arms race. Both nations built massive nuclear arsenals. The fear of nuclear war shaped global politics for decades. One of the most dangerous moments came during the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962, when the world came very close to nuclear destruction. Throughout the Cold War, the United States expanded its global alliances, built military bases across continents, and invested heavily in science and technology. The space race, military innovation, and economic strength helped maintain its position. By 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, ending the Cold War. The United States stood as the world's only superpower. In less than a century, America had transformed from a growing nation into a global leader with unmatched military, economic, and political influence. Its rise was shaped by world wars, industrial strength, strategic decisions, and global alliances. But becoming a superpower also brought challenges: international conflicts, military responsibilities, and constant global pressure. The story of how the United States became a superpower is not just about war or wealth. It is about timing, opportunity, leadership, and the ability to adapt during global crises. And even today, the world continues to feel the impact of those decisions made during the 20th century.